This episode is brought to you by the Cajun Spoon, the small box with the big flavor, featuring easy-to-prepare jambalaya, gumbo, shrimp and corn bisque, and more. Available nationwide at your local Walmart or order online at www.thecajunspoon.com.
Didn't call it.
You think it looked like that, Ron? You think?
Yeah.
It was pinned on the backboard. It didn't look like it. It was.
And just the way your team responded after the technical, you learn?
I told our guys, I got the technical because I got to have their back. We can't keep having this happen. At some point, I got to stand up and have their back. And so I had their back, and those guys had my back. Come back fighting like that. That's what it's about. So, coach, you have your kids' back, and the kids have your back, or men have our back. That's what it's about. I'm proud as hell of them. I got to stand up for them. We can't just sit down and keep taking it.
Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. Welcome to Outta My League. I'm Nick Diaz. People want so badly to believe in conspiracy theories. I mean, they want conspiracy theories to be true so bad. Now, as of this moment, I'm a little conflicted. Now, I never like to play the victim when you're winning a lot of games, nor do I like to be the conspiracy theory sports guy that everyone's out to get you, which a lot of Louisiana-based fans seem to be the last decade or so. But this one, it's starting to test me a little. It is. It's starting to test me just a little. Because the biggest stat from last night's game between LSU and Alabama men's basketball was a quote from Will Wade where he says, "It amazes me how you can shoot 34 times in the paint and never get fouled once." That's actually pretty amazing. And on its surface, you're just kind of looking at it like, what the fuck? Now look, if this was one game, I'd say, no big deal. But this is now essentially 4 straight games where you're playing opponents that are equal to your talent. But let me ask you something before we dive into the whole conspiracy theory thing. Was there a huge foul discrepancy on LSU last year? How about the year before that? Was there like a huge foul discrepancy? There wasn't because I looked it up. Why, though? Why wasn't that? Well, it couldn't be because, LSU wasn't getting caught or accused or wiretapped for something Will Wade said about, offering Javonte Smart a strong-ass offer, because it was after that stuff came out. No, it's because you had a guy like Cam Thomas last year who knew how to shoot from outside and knew how to draw a lot of fouls on the other team. Matter of fact, he was brilliant at it. He was a master at it, especially for an 18-year-old freshman. Now, why no foul discrepancy in the past 2 seasons with guys like also Javonte Smart and Trenton Watford? Because those teams also did not play a shit lick of defense. Didn't give 2 shits about it. This LSU team is a very, very aggressive team that reaches constantly at opponents when they have the basketball in their hands. I mean, constantly. Why? Well, because they kind of have to. Because that's their best offense. Their best offense this year is their defense. LSU also has a big man, a young big man in Efton Reed, he's learning and he's going through some rough patches, and he consistently has no awareness when to foul and when not to foul. Over and over and over again. It's been a problem. In the last 2 seasons, well, you didn't have an aggressive defensive team because you had a great, dare I say even elite, offensive-led team. And that benefits you in getting less fouls, getting to the free throw line more than the other opponent. Now, how is it that you can shoot 34 times in the paint and only get called for 10 fouls in the game, Nick? Conspiracy, right? No, it's a pretty simple explanation because this LSU team is a guard-centric team that cannot shoot. They are a guard-centric team that cannot shoot. And the other teams know that. So what did Alabama do last night? They did what every other team in the SEC has done against LSU so far this season. Pack the paint, stand up straight with your hands in the air, and don't jump. We know what LSU is going to do. They do it every time. Every single fucking time. They're just going to run straight to the basketball goal and try to make a shitty layup and not know how to draw a foul. And the worst part of that is that, with the exception of maybe Brandon Murray and occasionally Xavier Pinson, all of the other guards on a guard-centric team have very little to almost no offensive instincts. Just go straight up and don't know how to draw a fucking foul whatsoever. They make stupid basketball IQ decisions on the offensive side of the ball, always. They make horrendous turnovers consistently. And when you do that over and over and over again, and you build that reputation over and over and over again, you are more likely to foul the other team in trying to recover the ball when you turn the ball over. Well, what about the backboard violation last night? Yes, that was a horrible call. Well, what about the block charge fouls, Nick? Yes, I agree. Some of them are stupid calls, and some of them are honestly justified. But here's the thing. You want to know why that is? Because referees have no fucking clue how to do their job. They are really, really bad at their job. This is not a conspiracy against Will Wade. This is just an indictment on the profession of officiating. These officials, they don't get paid enough. They aren't even full-time employees, and the ones that aren't getting paid enough. They don't train the refs that long, as much as they should have. And when they are trained, they aren't trained very well. And the job that they are asked to do on top of that is virtually impossible to be perfect at doing. And to make it worse, this LSU team plays a certain type of basketball that warrants more fouls being called on them and not the other team. Look, I get it, okay? I get it. I'm guilty of it too. It's fun to think about the guy in the grassy knoll when you're watching the Zapruder film, okay? It's really, really fun to think about the UFO sightings every time you watch them on YouTube. It's really fun to think about the mass cover-up of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide and... Okay, that's a bad example. But the point is, this is just the problem with all of us as people. We want something to be there when it's not really there because it's fun. And also, this is just the problem with most defensive-minded basketball teams in college basketball, okay? Especially when they are uber aggressive like this LSU team is. Uber aggressive. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just the nature of the game. Chance favors the aggressor? No risk it, no biscuit? Well, the biscuit giveth and the biscuit taketh the fuck away. Even if the refs had any unconscious bias against LSU or Will Wade. Let's say that's true, for example, which it might be because, look, Will Wade, he gets on refs a lot, even when the refs aren't doing a bad job. And look, everyone knows Will Wade's reputation that he probably did pay players because, look, you don't have that conversation if you weren't doing something shady. But let's say they do have an unconscious bias. Let's say they do. That still wouldn't explain the previous 2 seasons of LSU basketball with Smart, Watford, and Cam Thomas, where there was no huge foul discrepancy against LSU. Still wouldn't explain it. Now, as far as this LSU basketball team goes from here, I have nothing but good news for fans, believe it or not. It's good news because this LSU basketball team, they had no Xavier Pinson, no Darius Days, and had a shit ton of bad turnovers, and they still found a way to almost tie the game with the last shot on the road against a desperate team. This team is still really, really, really good, y'all. If LSU wins Saturday against Tennessee, and it's winnable if Pinson comes back, Darius Days, probably not, we'll see. But if they win against Tennessee, then LSU would have gone 2-2. They would have gone 500 in this very difficult road schedule to start SEC play in January. And all but one of those games would be without, potentially, Xavier Pinson. I mean, we can complain all we want, but this is just the nature of it. And there's no need for LSU fans to panic. All you have to do right now, and I understand this is very difficult for LSU fans who are very football-centric. I mean, football is always going to be the king around LSU and Louisiana. But if you just really hunker down and think, okay, every game is not the end of the world if you lose the game, all you have to do is just get to March and be a top 3 seed. Just get to March. Shake off the rust, find the details, fix the problems, and get to a top 3 seed come tournament time. And this team will make a run in March Madness if they are healthy. Thanks for listening to Out of My League. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, or follow me on Twitter and Facebook in the description link below.